I won't read from my book anyway.
I mean, just yeah, please do. Okay. Λοιπόν, καλησπέρα σε όλους.
Good evening, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to discuss about the EUPL, the European Union Prize for Literature, a highly significant institution. We have four awarded authors from previous years. We will speak in English. So whoever depends on Greek translation, there are headphones you can get equipped with. So now I will speak in English.
EUPL Prize is an annual prize, literature prize with 41 countries. In the context of the Creative Europe program, it puts the spotlight on the best emerging fiction in the European Union. Its aims are to recognize creativity and diverse wealth of the EU's contemporary literature, to promote the circulation of literature within the European Union and the neighboring countries that are part of the program, and to encourage greater interest in non-national literary works. We have here with us four writers: Giovanni Docini from Italy, winner of the prize in it was 2019, I guess. No? Bianca Belova from Czechia. 2017, was it? Okay. Martina Vidait from Croatia, it was last year, 2023, and Marente de Moor from Holland from 2014. And they will talk us about their experience from the procedure of the prize, and I guess they will tell us some stories of what happened thereafter. So I'd like to ask you to tell us a few introductory notes on how your work was included in the prize, each one of you, what it meant to you. Giovanni, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here. It's my first time in Greece. I have to admit. And it's great to be here, really. Of course, the UPL changed my life as a writer and as a man, too. It changed my dimension as a writer, because starting from 2019, I started to be an international writer, because my book, the title in Italian is E Babukar guidava la fila. I have no idea of the title in Greek, of course. It's something like Babukar was leading the line, okay, in English, we could say. It's a story about 4 migrants in Italy in the summer of 2016. Well, this book was translated to more than 10 languages, and that means that you gain another kind of status, you know? And it means that a lot of people will read your book, even if they were born in places so far from the place where you were born. And it's incredible, you know, because when you write, you always write for someone, even if you don't know the name, you don't know the face of this person. But it's hard to think that you are writing for someone who wasn't born in your own country, okay? Until it happens. And suddenly it happened. And now I know that I write for people of the world. And this is great for me because I feel a citizen of the world. I don't feel so, I am not proud to be Italian, you know. I don't feel a citizen of Italy more than a citizen of Europe or of the world. So for me it's great. It's a great dimension. And with the translations, even a lot of trips arrived, just like this. Thanks to the UPL and the translations, I went to talk about my book to Slovenia, to France, to Spain, to Serbia, to Bulgaria, to Dominican Republic, you know, in the other part of the world. So, of course, it changed my life. And just one thing, then I think that the girls will talk. It's a pity that this prize, that is a very important prize, I think, is not well known in Italy. Is not almost known at all. And it's a pity. I mean, the media and the cultural system don't recognize it as an important prize. But it is, for all the reasons that I talked about in the last minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is a problem of the institution of the prize in every country, and I think that the recent changes in the procedure will contribute to changing the whole status of the prize. I think that the fact that there will be an international jury and that there will be one winner and stuff like that will change the status of the prize in the whole Europe. So, thanks, and Mrs. Belova.
Γεια σας, καλησπέρα σας. Thank you for coming. It's a true delight to be in Salonika. Thank you for the question. I don't know how many times I've been asked that. I must say that the prize had changed my life as a writer immensely. And the same year, I also won with the same book the most prominent Czech literary award. So I had two prizes at the same in the same year, and it was very good for promoting the book abroad in other languages. So to date, I have about 25 translations, and it's really opened up the world to my texts, to my books, and I've traveled a lot. And for instance, in Italy, I've had 4 books published because of that already, and I have my loyal readers there, and I have a wonderful small publishing house there, and I have a translator who's like my sister. And I do meet these people who appreciate the kind of literature that I write, and are willing to promote it in their languages, and I find that every language somehow adopts that text and changes it, alternates it in its own way, and it's never quite the same text. It's really always slightly different. And of course, I don't speak all the languages, I only understand some, but the sound of it, the accent of the language, it's absolutely fascinating for me to listen to somebody else speaking my book in a language that I cannot understand.
I actually planned that you do all the speaking, because I plan to say just I don't have much experience because I got the prize last year. I haven't been translated yet to any languages. I have few contracts, but it will be translated probably in the end of this year or in the next year. I was overall winner last year, and it was great. Of course, I was very surprised to be nominated in the first place, because my novel in Croatia wasn't so successful, and so I was very, very surprised to be nominated by the Croatian national jury. And when I got the prize by European jury, it was really huge surprise. And it changed a lot when it comes to reception of my book in Croatia. There were much more readers and like more critics, and it was like the book was just published, even though it was published in the end of 2021. So it got completely new life when it comes to that. And I do have few contracts. So I immediately signed the contract with a small independent publisher from United States. So it's for North American market. It's a very small publisher, but still it's a huge market. So it was a huge thing for me. They publish usually like Croatian or South European authors or that kind of stuff. And also my publisher, they have we have a contract that they have an exclusive right to represent my work internationally. So they signed in my name 3 different contracts with, I think, Lithuania and Albania and Macedonia. And I also have a Polish contract, but it's not for sure yet because they're waiting for some money from some funds or something like that. So it's 5 contracts for now. I hope that it will be 5 translations. No, I don't have an offer actually from Greece. I don't think there were publishers from Greece who were interested in the book. Maybe my Croatian publisher knows something more about that, but yeah, I hope that it will be, yeah.
Yeah, the other one. Yeah. So, does it work? Yeah. Well, for me, it's a bit contrary because I won this prize 10 years ago with a book that I wrote even longer ago. Ancient history, and the book is also about quite ancient history as well. So, sitting here as a nestor of this prize, no. But back then, the prize was even less known, actually. My publisher in the Netherlands didn't know about the prize at all. I had won the main prize in the Netherlands for literature back then, and I guess that's why I was nominated. But then they heard that it was actually a prize for young writers, which I'm not, I'm 52. So I don't know, maybe it was nominated by mistake, but it did, yeah, it was interesting. It had an interesting effect. The book has been published in 17 languages, also in the United States, also in Argentina. Often in languages that I can't, I'm a bit of a control freak, and I can't always check the translation. I mean, I can check the German translation and the French and the English and Russian, Bulgarian, but that's about it. But the problem was that Dutch is a very small language, obviously. It's a very small language as a whole. So to find, for instance, a North Macedonian translator from Dutch is a challenge. But it had me traveling, and it had me traveling to countries, for instance, like Croatia, which is a very literate country. In the main square on Zagreb, they have 5 bookstores, and everybody is actually looking and buying at books, which for me in the Netherlands, West Europe, is really suffering. Literature is suffering in the west of Europe. So that was for me an eye-opener. In Albania, I had a book presentation in a punk rock club, you know. I mean, that's outrageous. In the Netherlands, the average public of literature is about 75 years old. So I was happy with this prize, actually, because it gave me hope as well that the situation is not only like it is in the Netherlands. Let's put it that way. So.
Let me catch it from there and ask you if you discern some specific trends in European literature that, as a whole, that you imagine that your works communicate with, or do you think that each one of you has a special path that is your work? Do you see your work as part of a larger movement in European literature or something else?
Well, a writer is the symbol of individualism. So, of course, when you write, you don't think about anything, I think. You don't think about streams, literary streams or cultural streams. You think about yourself, about your story, about your characters. When the book is over, when the book is published, you can realize if there's something else. Of course, this book, my novel, is a book about migration. And of course, migration is one of the bigger themes of contemporaneity, okay? Of this age, of present. So it's obvious that a lot of writers are writing books about migration. Because of that, because of the theme. I think that one of the greatest things of this prize is that is able to make us meet, you know. This prize made me meet a lot of European writers during these years. And of course, different cultures, different countries, different societies. And what she was saying about the reality of reading overall in Eastern Europe, I think is true. It's true. When I go to Eastern Europe, I find people more interested in what I'm doing. In Italy, sometimes it's terrible because you go to libraries or bookstores, and it's true. The people are always the same, and you're talking to people that almost don't need to listen to what you're saying because they already know, they already feel what you feel, they already think what you think. When you go outside, when you go to Eastern Europe, above all, I think that you can find more energy, and it's very interesting for me. I'm always thinking a lot about this when I go to Eastern Europe, and maybe later I will say something more about this, but I don't want to talk too much. So, Bianca.
Thank you. I'm not a literary critic. I cannot really talk about trends or streams in literature, but there is one trend that is very alarming to me and is very pressing, and that's the fact that people stop to read books. Something that was very common when I was growing up. I was always carrying a book. You always see on the tram, on the bus, train, people always reading books all the time. And now it's not happening. You see the sales numbers of books going down across all countries that I've visited, and especially in the past 2 years, it's really scary. And I think with that, we are losing, as humans, as people, we're losing the ability of we're losing so many abilities, from cognitive skills to empathy, to ability to analyze situations, to understand where we're coming from, to get a bigger picture, to feel for fellow humans, and that is something that is really worrying me.
Well, also I will be able to answer to that question when I get more experience, with traveling and that kind of stuff. So yeah, but this is surprising to hear that you see Eastern Europe that way, because we in Croatia, I think we have a completely different perspective. Like less and less people are reading every year, and yeah, it's probably. I think it's probably just the perspective, because when you come to some other country, then it just new energy, as you said. Because also when I come to Zagreb, it's also always the same people on the same places, and a very small group of readers. And but when you come to Zagreb, these are completely new people for you, So yeah, but it's an interesting perspective, yeah, for me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe you have another question, because otherwise I will be repeating myself. No. The only thing I can say is that you have, of course, probably in every country, you have a neighboring country which is a bigger audience. I don't want just to talk about the audience or the publicity sales, because obviously that's not what you're busy with when you're writing. But for the Netherlands, Germany has always been, well, the big brother of serious literary critic, and that level has gone down in the Netherlands as well. So as a Dutch writer, I'm always looking forward to literary critics in the Frankfurter Allgemeine or the Züricher Zeitung or the Süddeutsche or the New York Times over there. The analysis of literature is better there, because also in the journals there's less space to analyze a book properly, and you're living for 3 years with a novel. I mean, this novel I wrote a long time ago. I've written several other novels since, so I've seen how it has changed, how much the attention span has gone down. There's not only Netflixation, which is for fiction and a negative tendency, but also there is the tendency of, how do you call that, the superficiality that, of course, when you choose a subject that seems to have this aura around it of actuality, it can pass by very quick. For instance, there have been writers who've been written about Corona or COVID-19 novels. No, I mean, nobody. It's just too superficial. You can often dive into a subject that is way back in history to know whether it will survive time this way. But then we need literary critics as well. As you said, I'm not a literary critic myself, but you need the analysis, and you need them to bring it to the universities and the schools, etc. So, yeah, that's worrisome. The attention span overall is worrisome. I think that's the thing. But now we're so negative. Say something.
Cheerful. No, I would like to change the subject to the financial aspect of the whole emerging author concept, which is not cheerful, I guess. And I would like to ask you, what was your personal experience with as an emerging author, and what was the role of the UPL, or what do you think that the national institutions could do to help emerging authors to live and do their job?
It's too difficult to answer. I don't know. For example, it's great that in Croatia, after the UPL, the book of Martina had a new life, no? You said that it had a new life. It didn't happen in Italy, for example, to mine. But, well, I'm not sure I'm not sure to have good ideas about how to promote the prize. I talked about it even with the staff of the UPL in Brussels, and well, they know that it's difficult, but well, they try to change the format. For example, now, until 2 or 3 years ago, there were sometimes like 13 winners every year. Right now, there's one winner, and the other are just in the final stage or something like this. They are trying to change the format, and maybe this will be useful. I don't know. I know that, for example, for me, it was good, even the money that the prize gave me, because if you win, when I won the prize, I got 5,000 euros. And in Italy, the biggest literary prize, called the Premio Strega, gave you 5,000 euros if you win. Well, if you win the Premio Strega, then you will send a lot of books. So, but it's much money. For a prize, for a literary prize, it's much money. And I was happy because I thought that I could invest that money in writing. But then the pandemic came. I couldn't work, so I spent the UPL money to survive. That it was good as well, but it wasn't the way I thought to use the money. Of course, for me, well, I'm a journalist and I work with literary festivals, and in general I work with books. Okay, even if I don't live in Rome or in Milan. And in Italy, if you don't live in Rome or in Milan, it's really, really hard to live of your own work as a writer, as a anyhow in the world of publishing. I try to live of this in Perugia, that is my city, but I have not enough time, enough free time, and enough money to think about my new novel as my job, you know. And more and more, I published 6 novels, yeah. I need, every time I need more time, and every time I need more money to write my books, because I have to search, I have to travel, I have to spend my time in thinking about my novel. And if I have to work, I've got no time, I've got no money, you know. So this is a problem for me as a 45-year-old writer, of course. And well, the UPL was very useful because due to the prize and due to the translations, I got a lot of money. I think a lot, some money to go on in a more serene way, you know. But of course. For me, it's I always think about the books that I would write if I was a more popular writer, you know. I'm sure that they would have been better books because I would have had more time and more money. But, you know, it's a paradox and you can't solve it, no? I think.
This is interesting for me because every time I try to complain about not getting enough money from writing, my Italian friends tell me, oh, you're lucky that you get some money at all. And I've been traveling to Italy recently. Last month I've been touring, and every debate was moderated by somebody who's either a literary critic or a journalist. They were incredibly erudite, so sophisticated, and they were giving it such a deep read. And some of them even read my books twice. For fuck's sake, even I can't read it twice. And none of them got any money for it. They didn't get paid for it. They didn't get any honorarium. And they told me even that the Strega Premium, which is the most prominent award in Italy, has 400 jurors who have to read 12 books from the shortlist in 1 month. And nobody gets any money for it. So I wonder how it operates, you know, how the whole system operates in Italy, but that's just by the way. So to answer your question, I don't make enough money from my writing to sustain myself. Hello, ladies, interpreting in the booth, because this is my job as well, and I truly appreciate your work. I have to translate, and I have to write for magazines to keep to make my ends meet. So, despite having won several awards, having being translated to a number of languages, I still treat writing as more as my hobby than a source of income, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I would say that financial side of the prize was very good. In my case, I was overall winner, so I got 10,000 euros. It was my part of the prize, which is actually a pretty huge amount of money for Croatia, especially before the inflation. It was now it's not so huge, but yeah. And also 10,000, another 10,000 euros was for translation and representation of the book internationally, and that money manages my Croatian publisher. So I really don't know much about that. I think they are spending it too slowly, maybe for my taste, but yeah, we still have time to spend it. And well, generally in Croatia, of course, you can't live just by selling books because it's an extremely small literary market. Even when you include countries where you don't need translation, like Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina and Montenegro, it's a very small market. But in Croatia there are some supports by institutions like Ministry of Culture. They give all sorts of supports, which is actually good when you compare it to neighbor countries like Bosnia or Serbia. They don't have any kind of supports, and they envy actually Croatian writers. They say, oh, we don't get that kind of support for anything. And in Croatia there are all kinds of supports also for publishers and for writers, and yeah, so it's not so bad, I would say. Yeah. But of course you have to work all sorts of things, you know, not just write to survive. Yeah.
Well, in the Netherlands, we probably have the most spoiled writers in the world, because the Dutch Ministry of Culture is taking very well care of writers. It's an expensive country to live in as well, but okay, I shouldn't complain about that. But I just wanted to reflect on what you said, that you're dreaming about the books you could write if you had the means to. And I have to say that I found it actually hindering to be too known, because when I wrote this book, this particular book way back, I really thought I was writing it for myself. I don't know why, because it was my second novel, but for some reason I had the idea that nobody would notice, and that's why I was very autonomous in the process. And when the critics came from big newspapers, I thought, yeah, but I made this up, you know, it's not real. You know, I was almost ashamed of it. And it was very difficult after the big success I got to refine this anonymity, which I need. I'm not on social media. I'm trying not to read anything about. I have not an archive with interviews and stuff. I hate to look at myself. So, because I feel that whenever I'm conscious about an audience or whatever people will think about it, that I can't be myself anymore. So it's double. It's a devilish. And I'm always wondering about, well, the famous writers I know who are on Instagram all the time and visit festivals all the time. I wonder how they do it. How do they find a concentration after you've been to the Frankfurter Buchmesse and then you fly to there and there and there? I can only do that between novels and not when I'm in the process. So, yeah, it's a double thing. That's all I can say about it. It's double. Yeah.
I wonder if there are any questions from the public. Anybody would like to ask something before writers that we have here? Or should we, because we just have 10 more minutes. Svetlo? Eh?
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with all these amazing writers. And I want to ask you, first I want to mention that, yes, the new principles of the LPL is something on discussion, something very interesting, and I think it's really the better way to give more popularity to the winner and to the special mentions, and of course to all of the nominations of the on the LPL. And as chairman of the jury last year, when we take decision to choose Martina's amazing book, Bad Bugs, as a winner. For me to see all these 13 different voices from 13 different countries with the different topics, different styles, different poetics in prose was really, really amazing. And I'm sure, I know that most of them have translations. Not only the winner, not only the special mentions, but all 13 nominated books. And for me, the LPL and of course all the prizes, but especially LPL, is very important to take attention of first of the publishers, second of the literary critics everywhere in Europe, and to listen to new voices, because you know it's easy to translate some writer who is very popular in that market or have a lot of translations. But these principles that the writer nominated for the LPL must have less than 3 books and less than 3 translations, and to make these writers, these really new voices and not so popular voices, and popularize them all over Europe, it really works. Of course, it's the other possibility for translators, because when we had this support from on the European level, the translators have more power to push publishers to publish these books, which is in the markets like Bulgarian or Croatian or even Czech. It's not easy for translator, because in our markets a lot of translators works actually as a literary agents. They found the books in the languages, in the markets that they from where they translated, and they became a literary agents of the authors. And of course, all the international prizes or national prizes, like Magnesia Litera in Czechia, of course, is one of the most popular prizes in Europe and in the literary field. We know it, or Strega in Italy, but I know how important is Strega, for example, about Georgi Gospodinov when he took the Strega International Prize, and of course now the Booker International Prize. But this kind of first, because of the prize and the money, never forget about the money is important thing, but festivals, meeting the authors, networking, finding new translations, publishers, these connections actually for me the biggest point of the prize. And that is actually my question to you. How you feel the different works with the different publishers in the different markets? Is the translators helpful? And again, I want to go back, because here we had a meeting of NLIT. This is the informal organization of the national institutions supporting translations. How it happens, how it works with the national institutions supporting translations in your countries.
I must say that in the Czech Republic we have a good institution, which is the Czech Literary Center. Mr. Krafel is present here, which supports the translations and which supports the mobility of authors to go abroad, to go to these meetings, debates, festivals and fairs. So on that side of things it's very good, and I appreciate it.
I think that Italian cultural institutions are very Italian. So it can be nice. No, not from my friend. No, it can be nice, but they are not always so careful, about what you do. They use. I know. It depends. I'm talking in general, and when you talk in general, you're always mistaken. But from my experience, they usually think about what they have to do day by day. They don't push you so much. Why? Publishers, local publishers, were amazing. Above all, the little ones. The little ones are great. The independent publishers, because maybe you could think, okay, they published you just because they got money to publish, okay, for all the system of the UPL and UE. It's not true. It's not almost never true, And I almost always found publishers working so hard to get interviews, to get meetings, to get critics, and so on. Above all in the Eastern Europe, I have to say. And this is an important question, because I think that UPL works more in the Eastern countries, because that the help that the publisher get from UPL is higher. Well, it's heavier. It's heavier, than in Western Europe. Maybe this is true, but I met great persons working in the publishing houses that translated my book, so it was really, really, really good. Even the translators, but their role was not so strong, generally, I think, in my case.
Well, in Croatia, I think Croatian Ministry of Culture also gives some supports for translation. I think that foreign publishers can get it too. And I'm not sure, but I think that my North American publisher actually got that support. I mean, they didn't inform me about that, but I think they got it. Yes, there are all sorts of supports. There are also support for international exchange or that kind of stuff. You can, if you travel somewhere, you can ask Ministry of Culture to pay your trip or something like that. So there is some support. Yeah.
Well, I think it's very important, especially to make proper exchange between publishers, to use the UPL for that cause. Because when I won this prize 10 years ago, that was not really properly organized back then. I remember my publisher couldn't get a hotel room anywhere in Brussels. It was chaotic. It was still a bit chaotic. And that was so very important, because she wanted to meet with publishers from Romania or Italy or Greece or wherever. And this exchange is much more important, I think, than the exchange of authors, because authors, we're all sitting here being our quirky, autonomous self and being lousy at networking. Well, I'm speaking for myself, but it's the publishers who need to do that. And I think it should be really stressed on that, for the UPL.
I find that really bizarre that writers who are by nature very introverted and very scared of people are expected to come on stage and talk in front of other people.
So, anything else from the audience? Anyone else that would like to ask something? Κάποιος θέλει να ρωτήσει κάτι?
Are there any questions from the audience?
To your introvert gaze, your autonomous self. Thank you so much for the information and everything.
Hello, and at the end of the event, hello everyone. I'm so sorry to be late because we had the opening of a wonderful illustrators exhibition in the Central Library of Thessaloniki with Sarja, so I arrived quite late. But I would like to welcome you here and to say thank you to EUPL office and EUPL award people, because we have an excellent collaboration for so many years, and I can say every year, the last 5-6 years, we have invited awarded authors from EUPL, and what we always say is that you know, this kind of awards are something official. Sometimes we say, okay, is it really worth it? But yes, it is. We have to support this kind of awards and this kind of support from institutions like this, because we take help and we do this. Those wonderful authors are here in Thessaloniki in our book fair to meet the readers, to meet all of you. We open the discussion, and this is very nice because this kind of events make things go on, open the dialogue, and we have more translations and more cultural exchanges, and in the frame of Europe, this is very important because we know very well we are the European Union, but we have different languages and different cultures, and we want to meet each other and get to know better each other. So thank you very much, and also I would like to invite all of you to a reception to eat and drink something and celebrate the end of the second Thessaloniki Book Fair professional program. You are very welcome.